So yeah, I accidentally didn't record these because it was getting late. I recorded the last one and I'm like, it's late, so I didn't even upload it. I uploaded it recently. But yeah. 2015, I don't really have anything. I could say Pixels, which I like. It's fully fun. No one did. My Little Pony, Equestria Games, I was going to be like Friendship Games, no, but like My Little Pony Friendship Games, like Studios. So, there are 4 Equestria Girls. There's the Equestria Girls and Rainbow Rocks, and then there's the 4th one. I'm not going to really mention the 4th one until that year, which I think is like 2016, 2017. I don't entirely know. No, I think it's a bit later. I think it's probably even like 2018. I'll just double check, but that's not important for this. So, what do I think about the first 3? The first one is good. It's decent, but not too great. Rainbow Rocks, I think, is really good, but if I'm correct, that came out the same year as Into the Woods, if I'm not mistaken. And Into the Woods, 2013, 2014, I need to double check, but if not, it goes in between World's End, which is the last of a Cornetto trilogy, I'm sorry, or Into the Woods, which is one of my favourite musicals on film. One of my favourite musicals, however, altogether would be either Heathers or... By the way, I haven't seen it, I just know the story. And I know it's like, oh, you can't say it's one of your favourites. I listen to the music too often, and yeah, I so badly want to say it. It was either Heathers or Be More Chill. If you want to say something that I have seen, 6. Which is still better than Into the Woods. I just like 6. It's really good. And I still think Rainbow Rocks is the best Equestria Girls movie. I do think that. I do honestly think that. But Friendship Games, I think, is good for this year because, one, you have the mystery of Twilight. Throughout all of these films, Equestria and Rainbow Rocks, it's mostly been sort of like the main Twilight from the main Equestria. But this one is what's referred to as not Sideway. I think that's one of the horror things. But that's sort of like scientist, like from the the Equestria Girls world. And you still have Sunset Shimmer, which is from, I might mispronounce the name, or got the wrong one because there's 2 people who have a similar name, and I'm bad with names, I've said this before. She is sort of doing what Twilight was, basically being sort of the mostly leader of the group. And I like this idea because, for one simple reason, is it sort of feels like Equestria flipped, if you get my drift. So what do I mean by that? Okay. First movie, you have one person who's been there for a while, which is Sunset, which hasn't been for too long. We know for the very least 3 years, unless it's like different seasons. She's been there for like a couple of years. And then you have Twilight, this is the Twilight from this world, she's been there for a while. You also then have one person who's being sort of the quote-unquote more newer person in this world. Twilight in the original, Sunset Shimmer, who hasn't been as long as Twilight, who's sort of being sort of like showing them, oh yeah, etc., and sort of being not in the original, but sort of like having the more magical know-how, and eventually eventually in the first one and in the newer one, I know this is sound weird, and it doesn't work, but I like the parallels because it's the idea of someone coming in to try to show a more better way of like friendship. I am also going to not lie. A lot of people talk about Disney villain songs, and there's not really much villain songs in My Little Pony. The only three that I know is I don't remember the lyrics, but I know the one that everyone talks about is This Day Aria, which is Queen Chrysalis and Princess, I forgot the name, but those two having a song against each other, where it's just like, the other one, which is the one from another one from the TV show, is A Better Way to Be Bad, which I also like. Definitely some of the remakes. But this one has, I don't remember the name, it's You Realize That You All Can't. Because it's that idea, it's the same thing that I think Josh Scorcher said one that was also really good, which is In Our Town. But I don't see that as I know he's put that as villain songs, I don't see that as sort of a solo villain song being like hyping up the villain. I see that more as like a, like, sort of like culty. It kind of has that vibe of like, but I get it is still a villain song because they are still being the villains. It kind of tracks, it does make sense. It is an actual villain song because they are being the villains. But I like this one as well, definitely because it's like, yes, you know, you have this like, the rest of the kids doing this like harmony behind them. And there's a couple of like shorts that came out of this, which did a whole thing with that group, which is really interesting. So yeah. Again, I do like this. I don't really talk about like MLP and all that stuff because overall there's better people who did it, and I don't have anything to add. And I'm mostly like, I like most of the episodes. I don't want to like be like, and this, and this, and this. Again, I just say my opinions, and I don't really have much to say. But this was like, oh, best films for this and this, and I'm like, when I came in 2015, I'm like, there's also another one in 2027, which will be tomorrow, but it's very weird. Don't worry about it. And I will talk about the other film. There were two films that came out. I didn't get on the list, which one of them is the film. I think, film about rainbows, and it was done the same art as My Little Pony the movie. And you also have the one for Gen 5, which I like. But I also didn't really know the movie. But yeah, I hope you enjoy, and good night.